Hello everybody, welcome. I'm seriously excited today. I don't know what what exactly I'm doing, sharing these things. It's super intimate. Whew. I still can't believe I'm doing it. So actually this live, the reason why I'm so keen to do it and I'm so excited is because I find that walking in this spiritual path, or the path that actually leads you into different dimensions and deeper understandings about who you really are, who you are not, and also about the universe, the communication, relationship with others, relationship with the eternal cosmic energy. So a lot of people would think that the subject that I'm about to talk about is completely unrelated to my spiritual path, my spiritual journey. And so two things are very important for me to do in this live and to say in this live is first of all to share with you one way that I chose to walk in that extremely accelerated my path on this journey that I just described to you. And the second reason is that if you're for female, it's very important for me to tell you all these things, because sometimes you just don't realize how frustrated men are with actually go and talk with women. And I hope that I'm gonna do a good job elaborating and explaining why is it such a difficult job for men to actually go ahead and do it. And for men, I think it's super important to understand the relationship with women, and most important is to understand the relationship with ourselves and to be connected to who we really are, and to be as authentic as possible. So these are the two things that I really want to convey today here, and that's the reason, one of the reasons that I did it live and didn't pre-record it, is because I really want to interact with you guys, because I feel like this subject is so misunderstood, I think, and it's so profoundly important for both genders. So let me just start from the beginning. So for those of you, actually I don't think I can count on my one hand the amount of people that I actually shared this beautiful story that I'm about to share with you. And it still is such a beautiful journey. And let me just start. It all started, right now I'm 32, and actually for me, ever since childhood, I was really a shy man. And I remember growing up, also in high school, I saw all these beautiful girls in next class and in my class and everywhere walking, and I felt like I'm not worthy, like I'm not cool enough, I'm not good enough to actually say something to them. And even if I found some courage or some excuse to actually go and talk with one of the girls, I never ever came with an intention of showing that I have sexual intention or any intimate intention with them. So it led me to situations that the most beautiful girls that I really wanted some relationship with ended up being good friends of mine. like just a regular friendship, what's called a friend zone. And later, that was like in high school, mostly in high school. And in later years, thank you for listening. Please let me know if you're here with me, and if the things that I say, if you can relate to that, because it's really important for me. I know I do many lives and many videos, but I think I never shared this topic, and it's very so please bear with me. It's gonna take some time for this video to unfold the real flowers in it. So that was in the high school times. Ooh. Yaniv, thank you so much. All right. So that was back in high school time that I remember all these times when I saw all the cool guys. I remember it so clearly that I saw them, and I was so jealous of them, because they were like, I even remember the first time that I saw, there was like a habit or a ritual that whenever like we came for the day in high school, and the boy and the girl like kissed on the cheek, and for me it was super awkward. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't hug a girl like that. It was like, it's inappropriate. Like, why would I hug and kiss a girl? Like, and who would kiss me, like. And I remember the frustration that after, even sometimes I had like eye contact with the most beautiful girl in high school, and I remember that we exchanged contact, and I told myself that she's into me. I know, like, I have a chance with her, and yet like I just couldn't do anything. I was relying on luck, I guess. I was relying on some force, some magic that will happen, or the girl herself would approach me and will tell me like, hey, listen, I know that you are such a cool guy, and da, 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 da. That's really what I was hoping for. Of course, it never happened, but I was fantasizing about that a lot, and also thinking a lot about what would I say to her, and tomorrow I have another chance, and maybe there's an event, and maybe I can, she was in another class of me, so there's an event with everyone, so maybe I can sit next to her, and maybe, I don't know, I can, by the way, tell her something. That of course never happened also. So, yeah. I was still a virgin on high school, and I feel actually that I'm a really late bloomer. I feel like many of the things unfolded for me in a bit later stages that I guess average or normal unfolds in, and I will explain soon why I think for me it's the journey that I'm telling you is one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. I mean, don't feel sorry about me, and yeah. And again, let me know if you actually resonate with that, because guys, I need you with me. I need some love from you. I know it's stupid, but that's how I feel. Anyway, never mind. So that was the high school time, and it led me to a lot of frustrations. And I remember that going to the army, because back in Israel we need to go to the army and to do the service for 3 or 2 years. And I remember that at that point I was like an officer, and I remember one of the most beautiful girls that I served with. One day just came to our office, and we started to talk, and I remember actually that we started to talk, and I was a little bit nervous, and I remember that she told me that I just shared that I saw like the Godfather 1 and 2, and she told me that she did also, and I told her that maybe I want to see the number 3, and she said yes, like yeah, I really want to see it. And of course she lied, she never saw either of the Godfathers. But that was an amazing opportunity for us to actually interact. And I remember many of the coming relationships that I had. I ended up 3 years with this girl, so it was by the age of 20. And yeah, we ended up 3 years, and we actually moved in together, and it was a really interesting journey for me to begin with. So I remember the next, I think at least 4 years after even, this pattern, like we all know that. I mean, at least some of the men will be able to resonate with, is that, you know, that time when you go to a bar or a pub and you just sit there with your friend or friends, and on the other side of the bar you just like see this really girl that you really like drew your attention, and your eyes are crossed, like you can see that she looked at you. And again, this high school boy comes back to the mind and like prays that some magic will happen, and all of a sudden we'll start a conversation, and all of a sudden we'll be together. And you drink more and you drink more because you're so unconfident about who you are, and your self-esteem is so low because you just don't know what to do. And you drink and drink and drink, and of course, again, like in high school, nothing happens. And I remember going home alone for so many years, for so many times. And I think I had many relationships in this period of time, but it was only because the girl approached me. Most of the time, it was either from common friends that she was introduced by someone, and then we started to talk, or that she approached me in some way. She maybe asked for my number or something like that, and yeah, it happened. But obviously these relationships in this period of time were mostly identified by the fact that it wasn't what I was looking for. It was what I was given. And it's some kind of going to a default path. And for me, going in this path it's just like unsatisfying, and it leads for the promised way of failure. First of all, because I wasn't prepared mentally, emotionally, to be in a relationship with a woman in the sense that I wasn't confident. I was very dependent, and I was really in imbalance between them, feminine and masculine. I was much more feminine, and actually the women that I attracted naturally were more masculine. They were the ones that most of the time took control over things that happened. Second. Thank you, May. Thank you so much. May is saying that she also has difficulty talking with men. But actually, May, I think you joined just a few minutes ago. This period of time, it was just like between the age of 20 until the age of I guess 26. And between this period of time, I found that I had like a really long relationships, like 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. And I mean, it's not a coincidence, you know, the feeling that I'm much more feminine in the relationship, that I don't feel comfortable with myself. I don't feel masculine enough. Like every time that we went out and I saw another man, I was just like immediately thinking like he's much more man than me. For sure, she would want him more than she would want me. Like, what is she doing with me and all that. And I thought to myself that I'm gonna end up living like that, and it was a really frustrating times for me. And yeah, it was really frustrating because I knew that the one is waiting for me. I knew that I can do better, and I knew that there's some hope for me, and it's not just like gonna be I'm not gonna be relying on just like common friends that will introduce me to someone, or some girl that will approach me, all this. It's like, and if you're one of these guys, please, like, be with me, pay attention, because what I'm about to share can really help you get out of this mess. And then one day I remember that I don't remember the friend, or I don't remember how. By the age of 26, actually, it's important, because I started without knowing even, I started my spiritual path, self-development path, really early in days, like at the age of, I think, 14 or 15, when I started to listen to Tony Robbins. I remember coming back every day, like listening to Personal Power. It was such a powerful times. But back at the time, I was so insecure, and when I was listening to the tapes, I was so pumped with Tony Robbins, but I couldn't apply it. I couldn't really do something with it. So by the age of 26, I went on to a journey that actually kickstarted a big part of my spiritual journey, my spiritual path. And it was actually, this is something that also not many people know, but I was fired from my job back at this time. I was working as a software engineer in a high-tech company. I was fired because I hated it. I wasn't productive at all. I didn't do anything for real. I couldn't do it. And so I was fired back from this company, and I was in the midst of, towards the end of my bachelor degree in computer science. So I took a summer off, and I just decided that I have to do the after the army journey, which in Israel is very common, and I just skipped it. Usually people after the army, after they end their service from the army, they go to like 6 months to a year, sometimes in India and to the Southeast Asia, or sometimes to South America. And I felt like when I got out of the army, I wanted to hit the iron while it's hot. So I went on to work as a software engineer, what I did in the army. And so immediately I started also to study like a bachelor degree in computer science. So by the age of 26, I was exhausted. I felt like I'm so deep in the rat race, and I was really frustrated. Back at that time, I had a girlfriend, and I really was listening to many friends of mine that I saw that they have some success to the terms that I had back in the time. But for me, I just knew that it's not for me. It's like I don't want to be that guy. And I decided that I really want to take some time off and to really think about what I'm doing with my life. And so I decided to. I was fired from the job, and I stopped my studies for like a few months, and I just even though that I had a girlfriend, I decided that I want to go to East, and I went on for 3 months 2 months in India and 1 month in Thailand. And let me tell you, that journey over there, like the 2 months, some will say only 2 months in India, traveling alone for the first time by the age of 26, completely changed everything for me. Changed everything for me. Oh, wait just a second, Itamar. Do you still like to eat what you like to eat 8 months ago? Oh, forget about it, brother. So, the travel to India changed everything for me. And I remember traveling alone and going with this huge backpack. And yeah, it was very interesting because I was very dependent at that time. I was very relying on other people's opinion. I was very insecure, and I was also very much indecisive. I couldn't decide for my own. So I went on this journey and I learned so many things. My God, I learned a lot. And back at that time, I learned from Giancarlo Colombo, an Italian meditator that actually taught me for the first time how to meditate. And it was such a blessing because he sat with me for like 1 week, 4 to 5 hours, completely volunteering just to teach me how to start with the basic yoga poses and meditation. And back at that time, I also started to practice yoga. And immediately in the first lesson that I went on yoga, I felt like this is what I was waiting for all my life. Like my back was screaming with happiness. So I learned a lot from this journey. I learned mostly how to be independent and how to take responsibility on things that I have. It taught me how to share the things that I learned. And actually I have a journey. I kept a journal from that time, and looking back, it was pretty insane. So I got back home, and as you can expect, I am the girlfriend back at the time, and we broke up. And then again, after 2 years of relationship, I came back to being single again. And I was living in Tel Aviv. Like, it's a big city, main city. Of course, if you know it, it's like the New York of the United States. And there, like, you see all the time in the world, like you see all the time in the streets, like people like couples hugging, and you hear about all these people that fell in love and met in a bar or in a pub or in a club or in some whatever, and you're just like there completely fresh, because you never knew how to talk with girls, and it was a complete it was just like I didn't learn anything I didn't grow from these experiences that I already had. So I don't remember from what friend actually I heard first time there was a book that called The Game by Neil something, whatever, I don't remember the last name, and it's actually like a book that tells you how to actually go and talk with girls and how to have success with women. And I remember so many beautiful people are joining. Just a second, I want to watch YouTube. Alright, cool. So I remember knowing about this book, and I didn't even consider that there's some method or some, I don't know, way to actually learn these things, learn how to actually talk with women, and I thought that like I had many friends that actually also were frustrated from not be able to have success with women and talk with them, and I just felt like it's just a gift. Like someone is good with women and he has like is very confident, and I don't know, maybe it's because he looks good, and maybe because like he has a lot of money. So that's the reason why actually he has success. But back at the time, I didn't think that I was looking good, or I didn't have a lot of money, and for sure I didn't have the confidence. So I just assumed like, oh, and I guess like that's my luck. I don't have a natural ability to just go ahead and talk with women. And I remember that every time I wanted to talk with women, if I had the intention that I like her, I remember I couldn't approach her. I just couldn't talk with her. And it was really frustrating. It was really frustrating. But after knowing about this book, I went ahead and actually I got this book from the friend, and and I remember that I started to read, and I was kind of shocked. Like, I think the author is like a bald guy with glasses, and he started to talk about like how he gathered like some friends in some villa in somewhere in the United States, and together they started to practice, and they started to actually approach women and to learn about what are like, and diving deep on the reasons why they couldn't, like they had like blocks, and they had some things that are hindering them from actually having success with women. And I like to consume my knowledge through visuals. So immediately I went on to YouTube and I just wrote like the game, or how to pick up girls, because that was the term. I don't remember that I heard about it even, but every time I heard like pick up girls, I was like, oh, so sleazy. Like, who are these like super sleazy and low creatures that like goes to women and just like talk with them? I don't know, but it was like super weird for me. It was weird for me. So I went ahead and I searched in YouTube, and I think one of the first results that I got is from a group called RSD, which stands for Real Social Dynamics. And I remember that the way that they talked, like the way that they showed how they do it and how they have success with women, and they showed like some footages and live videos of, not live, but they showed like footages and like hidden cameras and demonstrating how they do it. And I was just shocked, because the subjects that they talked about were so completely different than what I had in mind when I was thinking about pick up girls and all these sleazy things. And the topics that they talked about were mostly being authentic and loving ourselves, having fun regardless, and acting like just do it, just like go and talk with the girl and practice. So all these different topics that got me really curious, because I felt like these are exactly the things that will be amazing to practice on. And I remember that when I first started, it was like I didn't tell anyone. It was just like I just revealed like a huge secret, and all of a sudden I understood like like I started to notice so much younger men starting to talk with women, and I told myself like, wow, I discovered it. It's such a late stage. Like I think it was like the age of 27 or 28, and yeah, right. Wow, I'm exhausted. Guys, how are you? Can you tell me something? Okay. Okay. I'll continue. I'm getting to the point. So, eventually, what happened is that I discovered so many different things that actually, so many different skills that I can acquire if I'll practice more, and with these skills I'll be able to not only have the confidence that I have, but also to be able to balance my feminine and masculine energy, and I will be able to love myself more and become aware of the fears that I have. And actually the most important thing about this whole process was that it pushed me into an accelerated spiritual growth. And I'll explain why. Once I discovered that there's something that I can do to have some kind of a success with women, and it's something that I wanted for many years, and I was so frustrated that I'm not able to freely talk with girls and get like intimate with them. Then I realized that for me to have this kind of success that I want, that I'm looking for, I have to push myself more and more. So, and they encourage, they like in this channel, like these people that actually share this beautiful knowledge, they share that you have to practice, and just by listening to the information you're not gonna learn. And they were so right. So I decided that I have to practice, I have to do it. So I remember that at that time I wasn't that shy. I wasn't shy at all, actually, but still intimacy was like a little bit, it didn't come easily for me, especially with a stranger. And I remember that the first times that I actually went on and started to talk with a girl, I was so nervous. All of a sudden, like all the fears that I was feeling, but I was like keeping to myself. All these fears just like came up in my face. Like I wanted to go and talk with this girl. She looks really like beautiful and so nice, and I couldn't. And then I remember at these times I felt like my mind was so strong, telling me all these excuses why I can't go ahead and talk with this girl. I remember saying things like, oh no, she's busy, or maybe she for sure wouldn't like a boy like me, she's looking for someone else, or maybe she's with friends, and maybe she for sure she has a boyfriend, she's so beautiful, for sure she has a boyfriend. And even more excuses, things like maybe you'll see her tomorrow, or maybe you can do all these things tomorrow. Today it's just like relax, and you don't need this. And I started to convince myself, even I remember started to convince myself that being alone is okay, like fine, I don't care, I can be alone, maybe it's even better, it's less hassle, and all these excuses. So most of the nights that I went on to practice, I ended up, even though I did talk with these women, I did have some kind of success, but most of the nights I was like frustrated, and I felt like it's really, really hard. It's really hard to actually overcome these fears. And I think this is the reason why I'm sharing this with you, not to tell you like, to go and learn how to start talk with women or stuff like that. I'm coming to the point of the beautiful lessons, the beautiful things that I actually embraced, and it really accelerated my spiritual path. And I remember that by being able to actually go ahead and talk with a woman, I remember that something else was starting to build up in me. I started to notice all the things that made me feel like I'm not worthy. I remember feeling that I was comparing myself with everyone. I was like, like he's so much better than me, he deserves her, or I don't deserve her, and all these, like, I'm sure, like, maybe not now in life, but for sure the man in the will be can relate to that. And it took me so long to just starting to observe all these different fears that stood between me and actually communicating naturally with a woman. And like all these, I remember just listing all the reasons why I don't love myself. Like I realized, like, why don't you accept yourself just as you are? And I remember in these videos they talk a lot about being authentic, and I remember that I couldn't be authentic, and it was really hard for me. But I remember that before the first time that I actually went on and started to talk with a girl or two, I remember like months and months I was just like back at home and listening to all these YouTube videos, and I learned a lot in this period. It was accelerating my knowledge by a lot. But I think that the thing that actually made my journey so amazing, so beautiful, was the fact that other than, like, as opposed to who I was before, at this time I decided that even though every cell in my body is telling me not to do it, and actually my mind started to tell me like, just go back home, don't do it, just, you have so many go play the guitar or go hang with friends, just have fun, don't. And I remember these times that I was like, I'm just going and do it, just one step, I'm gonna talk with one girl in this time. And the more that I actually experimented with that, and the more that I actually went ahead and had more and more experience, I remember that I started to accept myself, actually, and I started to realize that I'm perfect as I am. I'm really good as I am. I don't need, like, the fact that I'm going and talking with someone else, with a girl, I'm not looking for validation from her. I don't need anything from her, actually. And the fact that I actually going and actually talking with her, that's the only success that's like the best success that I can have. So for me, sometimes even until today, when I see a beautiful girl, for me the success is that I actually went on and talked with her, because there are many different ways, but not sleazy ways. It's just like different ways that help you, different ways to help you to be more aware of the things that you say and the way that you say them, and not just go by the default. It's just like, for me, it was such a huge awakening, because I was starting to realize the way that I'm thinking about myself and about others. And I found all this feminine energy that I had in me that was afraid and was dependent on someone else to do the job for me, and was expecting to get like just like positive reactions from the girls that I was talking with. And so I guess one of the things that I want to share with you, and these are actually, how much time do we, all right, 43 minutes, oh my god, that's a lot. So I want to share with you some of the things that really helped me to actually have success with women, but not only success with women, but to actually really accelerate my spiritual path and really set the, I would say, like, set the solid ground for me for experiencing higher and higher dimensions in many different paths, so beautifully. So one of the things is, don't rely on the outcome. So whenever you are, you can't control your emotions and you can't control your reactions, then you become like a puppet for everyone. It's regardless, forget about women or men, it's just like interaction with someone. When you put your when you give someone the power to control how you will feel, then it's a really miserable place to be at. Can you imagine, like, everyone that you're talking with, like, if they're happy with you, then you'll be happy, and if they're sad or they will tell you something that you don't want to hear, then you'll be sad or upset or all these things. Can you imagine? Like, I think a lot of people are living still like that. But for me, it was super clear when I started to actually push myself to the borders and actually go ahead and talk with women and the other gender and with all this tension. And so don't give others the power to don't give others the power to control how you feel. It's so I know it's not easy, because if, like, for example, you tell a joke and she doesn't laugh, then like a normal default, like, it's just like, it doesn't mean anything. So a normal reaction maybe would be like to be sad because she didn't react, but maybe she had a terrible day, maybe she doesn't like these kind of jokes, maybe she was laughing from inside, maybe all these things. So you can't really know. So one thing that I really learned to control is that I really learned to save the power of feeling, of choosing how to feel to myself. So no matter how the other person is reacting to me, it's my responsibility to be able to not be so reactive, not be dependent on the outcome. It doesn't matter how she will react. It doesn't matter. If she will smile or be sad or will reject you or any of that. What's matter is that you actually overcame your fears and went on and talked with her. And I think for me that was a big lesson to learn, and it helped me on so many different journeys that I went through ever since. Something more that I learned from that was actually to be authentic. We as human beings, we have the tendency to actually cover what we feel, and to tell some kind of a cover story for the person that we're talking with, and actually not be authentic, not be real with the other person. For example, if I'm not feeling that great, then a lot of people have the tendency to just say that, yeah, everything's great, I have a beautiful life, I'm living an amazing moment, I have an amazing day and all that. But actually, human beings are not that stupid. Like, we have so many different, what we call intuition, yeah? It's actually a lot of mechanisms that we used to have, and we still have, but they served us a lot in the time of when we needed to survive. So it's a very primitive survival mechanisms in which you can actually identify like the subtle body movements and some other subcommunications ways. For example, the tone that we use, and we can realize if someone is lying to us or not, or if someone is being authentic or not. So most of the times, if you can't really, if you would approach, like, for men, actually their relationship with women is really a huge mirror for us, because when you're talking with a woman, they are like, I'm a little bit generalizing, but they really are very sensitive. So every time that you are not really present with them, or you're not authentic, they will immediately realize that, and they will show you that they know, like, that you are not being authentic. And so I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned, is to be authentic. For example, if I'm not feeling that great, then it's okay. And if I feel good, then it's also okay. And it doesn't matter how I feel, as long as I'm not trying to pretend that I'm something else. Just be authentic. And the sentence, just be authentic, took me a lot of time. It takes a lot of courage to uncover and actually to face the it takes a lot of courage to actually face the results of being rejected. Like, and that leads me to the next point, which is, I'm not getting my validation or my value from anyone else. Like, my worth is not dependent on whether she will like me or not. And that taught me so much. All these, I feel like there are so many ways to achieve an extended awareness or a heightened awareness. And it can be on the journey of money and relationship, and money and how to achieve financial success, or on the way to actually go on the yoga path, or many other paths. And one of the paths is the path of that I'm sharing with you right now. And so all these lessons are valid no matter what relationship you have, and also with yourself. And so another thing that actually a lot of people are that I found that we tend to ignore is that it's our responsibility to make us feel good. It's no one else's responsibility. For example, a lot of people are blaming everything or everyone that they are bored, like going to this party or going to this place and talking with these people, and they would go, oh, I'm so bored. I'm like, hey Ronit, I'm so bored, and let's go to somewhere else, or like this place is boring, these people are boring and all that. But actually it's our responsibility to, if we are bored, we should take responsibility and have fun and make something that will make it better for us and will make us feel better. And that's a huge lesson, because then you realize that it's no one else's responsibility but yourself to heighten your vibration actually, and to have fun. And by keep sustaining the negative feelings, then it wouldn't contribute to anyone. And even you, when you observe it, you wouldn't want to hang around with someone who's negative or complaining. So it's our responsibility to enjoy ourselves and have fun. Yeah, so a lot of these realizations that you have to face when you're going and talking to the other gender, it's like things that you have to face, because otherwise you would just wouldn't make it. You wouldn't have the feeling of success that you want. And for me, going in this path and actually overcoming again and again and again on all these fears that built up, on all these negative beliefs that I had regarding me, regarding the world, regarding so many different things, I just found out that all these beliefs were just my imagination. It was just like a choice that I made, and probably this choice was there to protect me at a certain age. And actually I don't really need these beliefs anymore. And you know, the more that I progressed, the more that I practiced. And again, I have to say that, like, when you hear someone tell you like he's practicing on actually having some success with women, just for you to know, a lot of men are suffering from that, and out of this shame that we as a society attach to that, many men are just like being frustrated to not be able to actually talk with women freely and openly. And actually it's something that a lot of women suffer from as well, because sometimes when a man go and to talk with a woman, all her fears and all her negative beliefs and judgments are raising again. And I feel like these lessons are lessons that are so important to implement in your life. And I feel like I'm a little bit exhausted. I have to share that this life wasn't like an easy one to share, and other lives are came much more easily for me, and this one I felt like I did like injustice to this subject, because it's such a profound subject. And I'm going to talk a lot about the differences between the feminine and masculine energies, because balance within that scale is one of the keys to have stable relationships with everyone, but especially with yourself. So let me know if I'm really exhausted. I think it was the first time that I actually share about these journeys, and actually I didn't share now that in this life that right now I feel like I as opposed to how I felt before I started, I feel much more balanced with my masculine and feminine energies, and I feel like because I practiced these things, these tools that enhanced these fears, they showed me in my face all these fears and negative beliefs that I couldn't ignore it anymore. It was there for me to solve them, and it was like different walls that I had to break in order to move on to the next phase. So now I feel much more balanced, and many fears that I used to have, many negative beliefs that I used to have, all the judgments that I used to have also with regarding of what I do and what I say, and all these insecurities are now almost gone. Like, for example, I would never ever was able to share with you what I shared today if I weren't going through all these processes. And maybe I wasn't that accurate, or I wasn't, I think, to the point as I wanted to be. But the fact that I did it, for me, it's so beautiful. And if you have any question, especially like women as well, because I know it's not an easy subject for you as well, because for sure you experienced more people that are afraid maybe to talk with you, or you would wish that men would be more authentic and real with you and actually go ahead and be more balanced and more respectful for you. So maybe if you have any question on that subject for me, or if you want me to do another live or another video about this subject, maybe for women or maybe for men, or for men, if you are if you related to the first part of the live, that you feel so insecure and like you can't go and talk with women, or you don't have success with women, or you have some difficulty to have intimacy with women. So go ahead, you can send me private message. I will be gladly sharing with you everything that I know, and I will gladly, or you can comment here, and I will happily share with you everything that I know, because I find that this subject is really life-changing. And only when you start to practice and to start to talk with strangers, and especially when you travel by yourself, you get into all these different situations when you are just like, you don't know anyone. And for me now, it's so fast to get new friends now. Like, it's so natural for me, because I'm not putting any pressure on them to make me feel a certain way. I'm just having fun and sharing and want to share with them, so, and I'm not assuming that that they think about me this or that, and all these different things. And I can see how it completely changed a lot of things for me. So let me know in the comments if you want me to share more about this subject, or if you have some question. I would gladly help you, and we can discover it together. Or maybe if you have some issues with men or women, or any of that topics, I would love to hear from you, because I have a lot of experience to share with you, and these tools that I have completely changed my life, and I'm sure that I'll be able to help you also to transform once and for all the relationship that you have with yourself and with the other gender. And so thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this share. And until the next time, bye bye.